Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, dish out on the movies. And today we are ranking all the Frankenstein movies we saw. And added to that would be a total of 8. Now, we did not recently review the 8th one. We reviewed it a long time ago. And that was Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. And it's a comedy. It's also it is colorized. There's a colorized version. And it has Frankenstein, the Dracula, and Wolfman in it. All 3. And so that will be part of the mix of all the recently watched movies we did this week and last week.
Who's on first?
So the total is
Who's
8.
on first?
So it's number 8.
Who's
so
on
Marco,
first?
Go ahead.
Who's on first? Who goes first?
Marco, I say go ahead.
Oh. Number 8 is the first Frankenstein, 1931 original. No, just kidding. The 8th movie in my list is Son of Frankenstein. This movie, I saw it as a kid. I got really excited about it, but it was so boring and lame. It was such a letdown. I fell asleep watching it as a kid, and as an adult, giving it a second chance, I almost fell asleep watching it again. I don't like anything about this movie except for how the monster has this, fleece outfit on. I think that's kind of cool, but other than that, there's nothing that I like about it. I don't like Igor. I don't like Basil Rathbone as Dr. Frankenstein. I don't like anything. I don't like the ending where, they're like, yay! Bye, everybody! We're going off now. You can have the castle. Go ahead. Because they immediately didn't even acknowledge that in the next movie where, all of a sudden the townspeople are like, we want to get into the castle and we want to destroy it and you gotta let us. And it's like, well, he literally gave the castle to the town already. So I thought the movie was so boring. I didn't like the plot. There was some kind of murder mystery element that was stupid. I did like the inspector character, but again, the way that they treat the monster, it's terrible because this is the first movie where they really dumbed him down. And he's not allowed to talk. He's not allowed to have a character. He's just a dumb, stupid, giant idiot. So, Safi, what's your number 8?
Well, my number 8 is the same thing.
Wow.
And the thing is, I didn't like Sherlock Holmes and I say that because he played the famous Sherlock Holmes in a ton of movies and a ton of radio broadcasts. He was really good in those roles. But I did not like him as the son of Frankenstein, and I hated the ending. The ending was like everything was just swept under the rug, and it was like nothing ever happened. And then they went, bye-bye, we're leaving now, you can have everything that we own here. And that was it, and goodbye, it's over. And I just thought that was disgusting. So that's the lowest one. And it's too bad because Basil Rathbone is a good actor, like I said, but I don't think he was right for the role.
No.
And because this is called The Son of Frankenstein. So if you remember Colin Clive, who played Dr. Frankenstein, he's really nothing like him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even talk like him. And I say that because later on in one of the movies, they have a doctor who's helping the main character, who's the son of Dr. Frankenstein, another one, I guess. And although we never saw any, we only saw, one, I guess, later on. They had a Dr. Kettering, and he sounded like, and he kind of even had the stature of Colin Clive. So he would have been better as the son. I mean, maybe he couldn't handle a big part like this. I have no idea. No clue. But Basil Rathbone really wasn't right for the part, and I hated the ending. So that's my number 8.
My number 7 is House of Dracula. You know, one thing about this list is, that I had to rethink about is I had to rank these movies in terms of being Frankenstein movies. And in terms of being a Frankenstein movie, House of Dracula is terrible because they basically treat the monster like he's an animatronic Halloween store decoration. He's just there, and they do all the same old shit. You know, they find him in a creepy place, they bring him back. Somebody wants to bring him to his full power, and then he gets up. And the worst thing about this movie is that the very ending is actually footage they already shot in Ghost of Frankenstein with him and the burning down of the castle. That was from Ghost of Frankenstein. So they didn't even have the monster do anything new or interesting in this. And it just felt like a complete F-you to the character. And, you know, I really just feel like as the series went on, the movies became less and less like Frankenstein movies. And I think that that was the biggest problem with the series. And I think that has a lot to do with, I don't know, like, they didn't want to focus on the doctor, on the scientist. Like, the scientist makes the whole movie. And instead of that, they wanted to focus on the monster and having the monster be this creepy monster, giant character. And it didn't work at all. And they should have had equal focus, because when you focus on the scientist, you then focus on the monster even more, because it's like the monster is a reflection of the scientist. So, Safi, what's your number 7?
My number 7 is Ghost of Frankenstein. Frankie actually talks in this one, and it's the only movie, except for Abbott and Costello. Well, he hardly talked at all in there, but I mean, he said a lot of things in this one. And that's not my, well, it sounds weird. And it's not, I don't think it's right. It's not, it should be stilted. I mean, my God, he's undergone a brain transplant and all his surgery. And I just don't think he would be able to chatter away like that. It's like, that's not realistic. And I know maybe that's picky. But, I mean, it does take away from the value of the movie. And the other thing is, the title, Ghost of Frankenstein, was very deceptive. And I did not like that. Because I thought either this is going to be a supernatural thing with the ghost, and I think that's what they were intending, but when I looked at it, I thought, well, you know, maybe this is just his mind, because this is the doctor who sees the, quote, ghost of his father. And of course it didn't look anything like Colin Clive, because he was probably, I don't know where he was, but he wasn't available. And it, you know, it was fuzzy and everything, but I thought that was his mind playing tricks on him. And, you know, I talked this over with Marco, and he says, no, that may really have been the ghost. And let's say it was the ghost. He showed up for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But the whole movie is entitled Ghost of Frankenstein. So, it didn't piss me off like the son of Frankenstein, where they have this stupid ending. It's just like, it's almost like insult your intelligence kind of ending. But it still was a deceptive title, because whether or not it was a figment of his imagination, it's still, you hardly saw it. You probably saw it for, maybe a minute to 2 minutes of an entire hour-long plus movie. And that's stupid. So why would they, and to me, so if they named it The Ghost of Frankenstein, that was just to get more people to watch it. Because they're thinking, ooh, a ghost, and, you know, people like ghosts, people like to watch a movie, and this is a Universal monster movie, so, you know, I don't think there's any ghost. I don't know in the Universal monster, maybe there is universe, but, anyway, it was stupid, the title.
My number 6 is Ghost of Frankenstein, and I don't think it's bad. I think it's a little underrated. I think that it's a fun movie, and the thing that I loved about it, though, the thing that I most loved was Lon Chaney Jr.'s performance as the monster. I really felt like he understood the role, and I felt like out of all the later interpretations, he did the best job, to where there was that mix of being a brutal monster who kills people and also being kind of sympathetic and misunderstood. And I think that he was better than Bela Lugosi. He was better than Glenn Strange. He was even better than Boris Karloff in The Son of Frankenstein. And I think that that's something that needs to be talked about, because
That's true.
nobody even talks about this one. And it is kind of silly, though, but, the one big thing, besides, it also has Evelyn Ankers, which was fun, because she was better as like a love interest character than some others. But another thing is that, I really think that this movie sets the groundwork for all the rest of the ones in the series, because this is the first one that introduces the brain transplant element, where it's like, let's take these characters as brains and swap them and switch them around. And that's what every single Frankenstein movie does after this. It's all about, okay, we gotta switch this person's brain with that person's brain, with the monster's brain, with the Wolfman's brain. And so this movie, it set that up. So, and I think too, it was a very interesting idea of, let's take a real character, put their brain in the monster, so now the monster is that person, and that person has to live with that. And they even had the little twist of, now he's blind because they didn't have the same blood type. I mean, that was a good little twist too, but it's not a great movie. It's like a drive-in movie, but whatever. Safi?
Okay. My next one is House of Frankenstein. And the thing about this one, it has the good things in it are Boris Karloff, I hope I got this right, played the scientist who comes back after being arrested. He escaped from jail. And he plays a great mad scientist. I mean, he's really... Marco was talking about how Lon Chaney played a better Frankenstein. And it's true because of his stature. And he just was really good at it. And the rest of these guys kind of pale in comparison. And Boris Karloff is one of those that pales in comparison, but he doesn't play Frankenstein in this one. He plays the mad scientist who wants to, give power to Frankenstein and see what he looks like when he's got full power, which is really queer, but... And also, this is the one that has the gypsy girl, and then there's the hunchback. Now, there's two movies with hunchbacks. There's this one, which has a boy, or a man, and the other one, I'll talk about when I get to it, or Marco will, as a woman, and she's a nurse. But this hunchback, I don't think he's very good. All he does is, and I can't blame it all on him, because it could be they didn't give him the lines. And the other one the woman has a ton more lines. Probably 3 times as much. But all he does is smile at this gypsy girl. And, I mean, he would wreck everything. Everything that they're doing, he would wreck it just for her, to help her. And he did save her, and that was a good thing, and he was supportive, but see, she only had eyes for Lawrence Talbot, who's Wolfman. And, of course, he's jealous, but she ends up killing, in this movie, she kills Wolfman with a gun. And she knew, because she's a gypsy, and they're kind of more in tune with, tales of around the countryside. She knew the thing about the silver bullet or whatever, and so she killed him. But it's still not as good as the ones that are coming up. So anyway, that's my number 6.
You mean number 5?
No, that was number 6.
Okay. My number 5 is House of Frankenstein. As I said before, I had to rank this list differently, because it's Frankenstein movies, and that's the topic. If we were just talking about Universal monster movies in general, I would put House of Frankenstein at number one because, in my opinion, it does have the most entertainment value. I do like how it has a really dark ending, and I liked a lot of the stuff about it. Like, I think that Safi's wrong about the Hunchback Daniel. He has a whole arc in the movie where he's the slave of this horrible doctor, evil doctor, and at the end of the movie, he says "fuck you" and he fights back and kills him, or tries to kill him. And so it was like he finally realized that he was being used the whole time, and he was sick and tired of it. And then he also had the really interesting scene where he started whipping the monster because the gypsy girl got mad at him and rejected him. And it was like he was taking his frustration out on someone who was even lesser than him. And so, Safi just doesn't really, look at, like, all the details like that. She just focuses on, like, oh, monster girl. Like, she doesn't really care about those mature themes and topics. But, in terms of it being a Frankenstein movie, though, again, Frankenstein's monster is not really treated like a character. He's just treated like a prop. But the thing that I really liked about it was Boris Karloff. His character was a great villain, and it was finally time in the series where they're like, hey, let's put the focus back on having a mad scientist who's an evil piece of shit and have him be... I mean, he's basically a manipulator. He's a traitor. All he does is just backstab people. He's a really, really good villain, and yeah.
And I'm not really, and if you think about it, you're not really sure what he really wants. Because it just seems like he just wants to destroy, or he's not even clear about what he wants. He wants he wants to bring Frankenstein into full power. And then what? It's just...
I guess do experiments.
I guess.
I mean,
don't know.
that's what all scientists do. That's what the guy in the first one wanted to do. So,
But he is a good villain, and that's what makes that movie significant. It's not Frankenstein, it's the mad scientist. Okay, well, my next one is The Bride of Frankenstein.
Number 5.
Yes, number 5. And the only good thing about this movie, I love the introduction, because what they do is they have Elsa Land.
It is Chester. It is Chester. I screwed that up in our review.
Okay.
It is Lanchester.
And
it just sounds weird though. It doesn't sound. It sounds like it should be Lancaster, like Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where we went to last year.
Well, she plays at the beginning. Now the intro, she plays Mary Shelley, and then you have her husband Percy Bysshe Shelley. And then you have Lord Byron.
The third.
And they're all talking about the first Frankenstein. And then they said, well, that's the end of the story. Or they said something about that. I guess that was the end. And she said, oh, no, it's not. And then she proceeds to tell the tale about the bride of Frankenstein. And so then you go from there. You don't see them anymore. And then you go at almost the very end. Here they have the bride of Frankenstein, which is another Frankenstein figure, only it's female, made from a different mad scientist, who's kind of a dip. I don't know. He's not as good a character, I don't think, as Boris Karloff, but the thing about it that was disappointing is I thought, I'd seen it before, but it had been a while. And I thought she and Frankenstein, had more of a relationship. Even though it was going to be a short one, maybe. I thought, because they all, in everything that you see, cards and TV shows and cartoons, and they always show them together. It's always they're like the it couple of the Universal Monsters universe, and they're never together.
Yeah.
I mean, they have them in the same room, and she rejects him. And even at the end, he says, "She hates me." I thought that was funny. Anyway, but they show her for 2 seconds, basically. She's in it maybe 5 minutes. So at the beginning, she's in it for a few minutes, and that makes sense because she's the author. They're introducing the movie. And then you come at the end, which the movie's supposed to be called The Bride of Frankenstein. So it's supposed to be all about the bride, but that you only see her and talk about her for 2 seconds. And that's it. It's over. And so I didn't like that. But I still ranked it 5 because of those 2 parts, because I've never seen a movie where an author and her husband and their buddy, Lord Byron,
The third.
introduce a story. And so I thought that was interesting that they did that, and that Elsa Lanchester played both parts. She played Mary Shelley, and she got to play the bride. And it'd be really, this was written in the early 1800s, so there's no way she would ever still be alive, but you gotta wonder what she would have thought about her being in this movie and playing both of these parts and playing this character. So anyway, but still, I ranked it 5th. So go ahead.
My number 4 is Frankenstein meets the Wolf Man.
Yeah, me too.
This is another one where I would have definitely ranked it higher if we were just talking about the monster movies in general. But in terms of being a Frankenstein movie, again, the Frankenstein story is like not even really part of the movie. Most of the movie is all about the Wolfman. It's all about his journey, his character. But the thing that I liked was seeing Bela Lugosi as the monster after he was supposed to be him in the first movie. I thought that there were a lot of standout scenes in the movie. It gave you a great mixture of the two. Like, I loved it when Frankenstein was in ice and the Wolfman got him out. I thought that was cool. I loved the fight at the end, even though it's short. I thought the music was great. But still, it's a clunky mess. And it's really not a great Frankenstein movie. So, you know, and I know that this sounds kind of like a downer video, but when you really watch the first one, you just kind of see back to back how these were not good Frankenstein movies.
No, they were Wolfman movies.
They were Wolfman movies.
For the most part.
They were Dracula movies. They were anything but being a Frankenstein movie. And I think it's frustrating because I think Hammer might have done a better job. I mean, Hammer did something different. And I think that was good because when you make remakes and sequels and all that, you need to do something different. But I don't know. It just, because those movies definitely felt a lot more like Frankenstein movies overall. But these movies are a lot more entertaining. So it's like, what would you rather have, entertainment or movies that feel like Frankenstein, I guess. But Safi?
Well, the thing is, they're misleading, though, because you think the movie's going to be more about Frankenstein. It's nothing like that. And I gave this the same ranking
Number
as
4.
Number 4. And I guess the significant thing about it, well, I did mention the fight scene in the end, but the gypsy woman who was in the Wolfman, her name is Medeva, but you know.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. That's another reason why I love the movie is because she's in it. And it was really cool to see her in the same movie with all these characters.
And she's a really good character actress. And that's the thing about the old days, and I don't know where the old days begin and where they end, but they had a lot more character actors and actresses, you know, both. And, I mean, they were really, they made really good parts for them, and sometimes I think the movie would not even be what it is in value without these character actors, because they really added a lot. It's like having a dish and adding a flavoring to it that just makes it really outstanding. They're like flavorings. They're like spices. And she was really good, and she accompanies the Wolfman because she knows a scientist who might be able to help him, and guess who that is? Dr. Frankenstein, or somebody related to him. So that was why I ranked it higher than others, because she's in it, and she helps the movie, I believe. Okay, that's number 3.
My number 3 is Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I think that this movie is a treat. It's like a classic Halloween treat. It feels like the best possible movie they could have made to end all the monster movies, because it felt like a celebration of the monsters rather than like a movie that was really critical of them and said, oh, these are stupid and dumb, and now kids only want slashers and all that crap. It was like the perfect celebration movie. You got to see Bela Lugosi's Dracula again. I loved the Wolfman in this movie. His interactions with Lou Costello are really, really funny. And I also think the Frankenstein's monster, he does have a lot more stuff to do in this movie. He is a little bit more of a focus. Still not that much, not as much as you'd like. But overall, I think that this is actually a really good movie. We reviewed the movie back when we first started the channel, and we were really mean to it because we both didn't find it as funny as we thought that it was. But
well, we were watching with other movies too that I can't even remember what was it. Other Abbott and Costello movies?
No,
then?
I can't remember what it was. But
well, something about it rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
But when you watch it in the this group, it's better.
It's a lot of fun, and it's a movie that I could watch again and again and again. But I do have a photographic memory too. That kind of colors things, because if I can remember things so well, it's kind of not very entertaining to watch something that I can already picture myself without even watching it. But still, this movie's really, really good. Bela Lugosi's Dracula is the best Dracula in history. Way better than Christopher Lee. Sorry, but not sorry. So, Safi?
Okay, well, my number 3 is, you would think it was that one, but I actually ranked it a little higher. But mine is House of Dracula, because for 2 reasons. They had a hunchback in this one. It was a nurse. And she was a better female character than the pretty woman who was tall and statuesque and played the other nurse.
Safi is obsessed with this hunchback girl.
And she was very patient with everybody, and her character was really developed. She went through a whole thing. She was supportive of everybody, and her dream was to get rid of that hunchback. And although it was odd to see her walking, and I don't know, I've never seen a female hunchback person. You always see, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and it's always a male. So I don't know what it would be like, and how it could be any better, or how it could be any different. And the other thing is, I liked it because it had a good ending, and the ending was, even though we are ranking these in terms of how we liked the movie and the value they had, we watched it in the order that they were made. Watched them in the order that they were made, and so all along, Wolfman, if he doesn't get fixed, so to speak, get a new brain, whatever they have to do, he wants to die because he doesn't want to be like this. And he gets his wish. And the doctor actually, unfortunately, he got infected with Dracula's blood because he tricked him, but he got back at him, killed him right away. But he actually got fixed, and he is no longer a Wolfman, which is weird because I don't think there's any other movie now that where he's fixed. He's always going to be Wolfman, so I don't know how that, I don't know why that didn't impact anything else, but so it was a happy ending, and it was it went all the way through, from beginning to middle to end. So it was kind of a complete story. So I just liked it because it had that positivity, because we'd seen all these movies. I mean, he jumped off a cliff, which is stupid because he can't die. So jumping off a cliff isn't going to kill him. He's not going to die. And so, and then we had the thing where he was shot with the gun and the silver bullet. And I mean, that's like forgotten about. So you have these plot differences, you know, but anyway, this was a good plot, a good ending. And so anyway, I ranked that 3. So go ahead.
My number 2 is Bride of Frankenstein, because after looking back at all the movies, this one is not a great movie. I mean, I think it is kind of disappointing. I don't like how comedic it is. You know, it's the same with Texas Chainsaw 2, where, you know, I hated how they made that one like a comedy and really silly and over the top. But the reason why I put this in number 2 is because this is the most Frankenstein sequel. It feels like a Frankenstein movie. The monsters are front and center of the movie, except for the bride. She's at the very end, and she sucks. She's the worst part of the movie, because she just shows up at the end, she sucks, she doesn't do anything interesting, and then she just gets killed. But Boris Karloff in this movie is incredible. I loved how they made him into a character. In the first movie, he's just silent, and he's creepy, and, you know, he's a monster, but in this, he feels like he's an actual character now. And I love the movie in terms of being a Frankenstein movie. I think that it's definitely the best movie we could have gotten out of all the sequels, because it was a Frankenstein movie. It just wasn't a great sequel, and it wasn't a great movie overall. Like, I mean, because honestly, if we were doing just monster movies, and I know that people probably get sick of hearing this, I would have put this near the bottom. Because out of all the movies, I wouldn't really want to watch this one again compared to like House of Dracula, which I think is really, really good and underrated in terms of just overall. But not in terms of being a Frankenstein movie, it's bad and this is good. So, you know, maybe that'll annoy some people, but, you know, Safi didn't rank them that way, so, you know, if you don't like how I rank them, then Safi's rankings you'll like better. So, Safi?
Okay, well, my second one is that Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. And, of course, they don't just meet Frankie. They meet Dracula, and they meet the Wolfman. And I thought it was really funny. And it stuck out amongst all these other movies. Because, you know, they're comedians anyway. And they get the 3 monsters. You see them in, you know, they have a sense of humor too. I mean, it's very light, and instead of taking all that seriously, because it's an entertainment, they're kind of part of the joke, whatever joke it is at the moment. And I just really and it's also colorized, which.
Safi did not watch the full movie. She watched
I watched pieces of it.
She watched a 10-minute video on YouTube.
But I saw the whole movie several times before. It's just been a while.
Yeah.
Because we did review it years ago. But anyway, it really stands out amongst all of these. And because it just, you know, it isn't, you're not taking anything seriously. And they're so funny. And it's very simple funny. It's not complicated, and it's not rude or disgusting. And I like it. It's very, and the colorization.
I like it.
I haven't been for that in the past, but all these others are in black and white, as it should be, or it's expected. It doesn't bother me, but it was kind of nice. It was like a treat to have this colorized, because it was very clear. And the images were strong. And it's so funny, too, that these modern movies where they drain all the color out of everything, people wanted color. They didn't want black and white. You know, and there's a place for it, but I mean, why would you, in a beautiful field with flowers and trees and birds and everything. Why would you drain all the color out?
Well, yeah, they were excited about color back then. They wanted color in their movies, and nowadays it's like, okay, we need to desaturate everything because it needs to look more realistic, and
it doesn't make sense.
The skin tones, they can't look too orange or too red because that's not really realistic, and it's like, fuck you. Like,
and I talked
seriously.
about this before as a reseller. If you buy goods from those times, they would even decorate the flour sacks. So the sacks that you get your flour in, they had printed colored pictures. They had everywhere, the dishes, the china, everything, glassware, everything was beautifully painted. And so it doesn't make any sense if they think because they're setting it in an age, an older generation or older age, that it's you drain the color out. It's not even natural. It's not a natural black and white, it's fake. So, anyway, that's my soapbox, but I put that at number 2. Go ahead.
My number 1 is Young Frankenstein. I mean, fuck that movie. The original Frankenstein.
Yeah, me too.
Colin Clive. That's all I need to say. No, I mean, this movie, it's a classic. It feels like it's a horror movie. A lot of the later ones, they're not as scary. They're not as creepy. I don't know why. I mean, this movie is really dark, mysterious, creepy, awesome. It has that whole fight at the end where they're in the windmill together, which is awesome. They never recreated anything like that in the sequels.
No.
And I love the monster in this movie because he's scary. He feels like it's like you wouldn't want to have to deal with him. And I like Fritz too. I thought he was a great assistant character. I love everything about the movie. I think it's the perfect Frankenstein movie, and they haven't made a movie like this about Frankenstein since.
Well, and I picked it as number 1 as well, because everything else that follows they wouldn't be here without that. And I love Colin Clive. I think it's really sad that he got sick, and he was also an alcoholic, and he had trouble with his lines or whatever, but he did a really good job. I don't know if they fudged anything or they made him do tons of retakes. I don't know what happened exactly. I wasn't there, and I don't know if he could ever really find out, but he still came off as doing a really good job, and he was the best evil scientist, or mad. I should say mad. He's not evil. He was the best. And I mean, it's just the whole thing. It's very classic.
He makes the movie.
He really does, because none of the other ones, everything that we've talked about.
That's the missing element, is the doctor, the mad scientist. There's no one as good as him. And that's something too. It could have been interesting if Lon Chaney Jr. played the mad scientist.
No, he's too good at playing what he plays.
Well, I'm making a joke because he played every monster. He played the Mummy, he played Dracula, he played the monster, he played the Wolfman, he played every monster, Safi. So it would how about he plays the mad scientist now? Just plays all the characters.
Yeah, and so and like I said, the only doctor, but he wasn't the main character, was the character, I can't even remember now, I wrote it down, Dr. Kettering, which is weird because we have a town in Ohio called Kettering, Ohio. And he was Dr. Kettering, and he had the same kind of voice, and he also had the same stature.
Safi is obsessed with Dr. Kettering.
All these other scientists bore no resemblance to the original guy at all. None. They were all a lot of them were older men. Nothing against that, but it's continuity.
They didn't play the character though. They didn't play a good character. Like if it was an older man, like Dr. Pretorius was an old man, he did a good job. Boris Karloff was an older man, he did a good job. So it has nothing to do with just being old. It's just the fact that they sucked.
Well, but they were nothing. liked him, and some of these people were supposedly supposed to be related to him, and they had bore no resemblance at all. And so I just, you just can't beat the first one. You can't. There's none that are better than this. It sets the standard, and then of course the standard kind of, what would you call it, flies all over the place in different directions, mainly towards Wolfman, which I think they liked. If you look at it, I think they liked Lon Chaney Jr. I think he might have been like a favorite.
It's unfortunate because it feels like you had the silent era, you had the era with Lon Chaney Sr., and that influenced the Universal era in the 30s. But then after that, you didn't have anything that was really well influenced off of those movies that was any good. You had the Hammer movies, but that was a
whole entity into itself.
Well, that was a completely different thing. Yeah, I mean, but there was nothing. It feels like the legacy ended with the Universal, with all those movies back in the 40s, maybe the 50s, early 50s. But like, it's too bad that they never like continued off of that. You know, it feels like missed opportunities.
Well, they've done some modern movies, but they've been, I hate to say, trash.
Yeah, like Safi, what do you think about the Wolfman now? The new Wolfman. What do you think about that movie?
No.
Is it a good movie, Safi, like you said it was?
No, it's nothing like, it just doesn't bear, it's like its own thing. And it's,
The Wolfman.
We're not going to re-review that, but it just...
Even the Monster Squad.
It doesn't bear any resemblance to these movies.
I think that the Monster Squad did the best job, it being like a modern version of the monsters, but even then, in that movie, they didn't really give any character to the creature from the Black Lagoon, or, the Mummy was cool, but like, that movie did a really good job at like having all those characters, the Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein, they all felt like characters in that movie, whereas, I wish that they had continued off of the Monster Squad.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. So you tell us what you think. You seen any of these movies? Do you agree with this? Do you have any opinion about what's good and what isn't, and why it is or why it isn't? And become one of our subscribers. We're almost at 700, and you can become 700 and 701 if you want. So anyway, that's it. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.